That feeling of needing to start over, it shows up every January. But honestly, it can happen at any time of year. Your back flares up, work gets busy, you go away for a week or two, and suddenly the brain's like, right, we need to wipe the slate clean and start properly, like start over. So today I want to look at why that thought creates so much pressure and what it might feel like to just start again. In, Instead, it might feel, hopefully, it would feel smaller, calmer, more like what fits you today. So, why starting over feels so heavy? Because it does, right? When you say, "All right, I'm gonna," you know, you come back from holiday, you haven't gone back to your normal class, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to start again. Like it feels like that because it starting over implies that subtly implies that it was time wasted before somehow, and it feels like you're starting again, starting from zero. When in actual fact, that's just not the case because we're picking up where we left off. We're meeting ourselves where we are today. That's what's important. Um, and also the phrase starting over, it comes with this unspoken demand to do it properly this time, really commit harder and better than we did before, which is human. Like I can understand it, but it just doesn't really help us move forward. You anecdote, we will have all heard this, and I hope this is an example that we can all feel and experience, like understand, because it's a diet related one. So you might have been on, or a person might have been on Weight Watchers, someone might have been on it, you might have been on it, and they see it through, they reach either their goal weight or somewhere near it, and that's great, and then they just go about their life as normal, and then invariably what might happen is that something in their life will unfortunately go wrong, will cause a hiccup. It doesn't have to be serious, it could be anything, and it just ruins that routine or that thought process you had around food. And then you might be in a situation where you're feeling like, whether you have or you haven't, maybe feeling like you've gained weight again, or you're not feeling great about so great about yourself, and it's like, right, okay, I'm going to do this again, I need to start again. And then it's just dismissing everything that you've done before, unfortunately, whereas you were committed before, you saw through on it, and you have that skill of commitment, you can do that again. And it can be the same in sport, absolutely, in any sort of physical fitness. It can be true in many parts of our lives. But if I think about a sport related example, it can be that, I mean, this isn't my shiniest moment, but it can be if you geared up to doing a running event, you geared up to do a 5K, and you got it within your goal time. Say you wanted to run your 5K in 30 minutes. And anything that started with 29 was going to be acceptable to you. And that happens one time, great. And then you go to do it again the next month or in 3 months' time with a friend. And for some reason, leading up to that next 5K run, for some reason, life just doesn't go very well, and you don't train as well, and things don't go so well. And that's I've lost track of what it is that I'm trying to say. But it's just that things can be different, things can throw us up, but it doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't just have a go because we've done things before. So it's sort of implying that what we did last time wasn't good enough when we say that we're starting over again. We're kind of setting ourselves up. And often this leads to waiting for the right moment, the right energy, or the right plan to get us going again. And that, for me, that screams like what I hear and see happening with diet conversations and being on diets or not being on diets, taking weight loss drugs or not. But that's not what we're here for. It sometimes it shows up in people will say, oh yeah, I like yoga. And the teacher that they used to go and see, and actually this is true for me, the teacher they used to go and see, they now can't make that class time. And so they're kind of waiting for the right moment. They might be waiting for that teacher to run the class again, or they might be waiting, or they've tried a couple of teachers and they didn't like any of them because they've moved to a new area. And then they're just sort of in that kind of waiting phase. Or you might know you want to try something new. You might want to try the local circuit class, but you sort of waiting until you've got. Sometimes people wait till they feel fitter, which is understandable. It's a human thought, but also it's mad because you're not going to get any fitter by not going. But I totally understand the premise of wanting to do that. But it's just meeting yourself where you are and actually just, okay, I'm gonna pick the lowest level, the easiest entry level circuit class that I can find, or I'm just gonna try that one yoga class because it suits me that one time, and I'm just gonna try it and see. So yeah, that starting over often feels heavy and laden, and can actually stop us in our tracks and stop us from moving forward how we would otherwise like to or intend to. And I forgot to skip on a slide. There we go. So the second thing is starting again is a skill. It's not something that we're necessarily born with, and it's something that we can teach ourselves, that other people around us can teach us, and just show us what they want to know or see. So it being a skill, most of us, well, like I said, we're not taught. We are taught to go hard or go home, to work as hard as we can. Then it stops for some reason because it's become too overwhelming. It's become too hard. Then we end up feeling guilty, and then we restart again, trying to do it perfectly this time, which is probably what we were trying to do last time, but we're going to try and do it better, more perfectly this time. And we repeat that cycle often, again and again. Whereas starting a new skill, actually, you can evaluate what you've done before and what you are taking forward with you. Nobody taught us how to return to movement in a normal, no drama way. And I will give you an example of how I've done it. And it is not groundbreaking. I'm not special. It's just a slightly different way to look at it. And the other thing is, the people who stay consistent long term aren't the ones who never stop. They know that they will stop. They will know that things are going to come up, but they're the ones who have practiced coming back. So my example for this is something that happened in my life, and it was probably about 4 years ago. And it is just one example. There are many, but this is one. So I had been in a new sport. I had started Olympic weightlifting. I'm not an Olympian. It's just the name of the sport. And I'd been doing it about a year, 18 months at the time, when I found out that I needed to go for sinus surgery, and that involved taking 6 weeks off doing any physical activity and taking at least 2 weeks off of work, bearing in mind my work is moving around, being with people, blah, blah, blah. I had some date options about when this surgery could happen. So I chose for it to happen very close to Christmas so that I could recover over the Christmas holidays, so that it didn't impact my work too much, which was important to me. And it was opportunity, it was an opportunity that I had, and I took it because then worked best for me. And then the bit where I was practicing going back is that I'd experienced it through myself, and I'd experienced it through clients, of knowing that when you pause or you stop something for a while, it can be very hard to pick up the routine again. So I knew the date of my surgery, and they told me I needed 6 weeks to recover. So after those 6 weeks, that's when I knew I was booking back in to go weightlifting. I had my 2 weeks to where the most amount of sort of recovery happens. And then I had 4 weeks in the middle where I was going back to work, but I went back and I'd spoken to my bosses and the people that I worked with, and we eased me back in, and it worked out. But the reason I marked out those 6 weeks in the diary was so that I knew when they were happening, because I'm human, right? I could just go on week to week to week and not really notice that the time has flown by. But because I had these markers in the diary, I was like, right, okay, that's when I need to get back. And when I did go back, I managed my intensity. I didn't go back thinking, oh, that's what I did 6 weeks ago, I need to do that now, because I knew that I'd had that time off and I gave myself that grace. So when I went back, I made the intensity a little bit less. I took my time. And then I think I let myself have another 6 weeks, or definitely 4 weeks after that. And it was like, well, if I haven't fully recovered from sinus surgery by then, there may well be something medically wrong and I should go back and see a doctor. But equally, if at those 4 weeks I'm like, oh, I feel fine, then I just need to crack on with my life. And I can go ahead and do that. So that's how kind of knowing where you're at and what you're dealing with really helps you avoid the sort of catastrophizing of, oh, I need to start over, and keep you in the energy of, okay, I'm going to start this again. How is this going to work? What does it look like? What do I need? How am I going to manage? That's really important. So I guess the practical takeaway here is, think of returning to movement like a muscle you can train. Every time you come back after a gap, you're getting better at it. You're just knowing that it might be a bit lumpy for a few weeks while you settle back in. That's totally okay. The first Zumba class you go back to, you might feel a little bit more tired and exhausted than you did. They may have changed the routine and you now don't know it and you're learning it. But you know that in a few weeks' time, you will have learnt it and you will be keeping up. And that's the same if you're in sport. That's the same if you're going to the gym by yourself. Your first 1 or 2 sessions back might feel like you've taken a little bit of a step back, but that's okay. That's part of starting again, and you know that you'll get what you want in the long run. You'll get the experience that you want and need. So, lastly then, what starting again actually looks like. I mean, I've kind of started to talk about it. I guess what it doesn't is that it doesn't need a plan. It doesn't need a Monday, and it doesn't need a burst of motivation, because I think I've done a live session on this before. Motivation is very fickle and it's hard to rely on for many reasons. It can be, when you're getting started again, like I said, it can be putting dates in your diary. It can be just 5 minutes. It can be one stretch. It can be a walk around the block. If someone has been, I don't know, I don't want to name any of my clients at all, really, but just thinking of someone, if someone hasn't been doing any physical activity because, I don't know, they've had a new baby in their lives, and we all know that babies take up a lot of time, and it's just part of the course. There's nothing right or wrong about that. No one's doing anything wrong, but they just take up time. And so it could be a year, and you're thinking, oh, it might be longer. If any mums out there, apologies. And you realise, oh, do you know what? It's actually been a year and I haven't been back to that Zumba class, or I haven't gone back to the reformer Pilates that I was doing. For guys, it might be, oh, I haven't been down with my football team. I haven't gone and played. I haven't even gone to a training session, let alone play a game. And it's just meeting yourself where you are on that day. What can you do? What can happen? If you've got a toddler, it might, for a bloke, it might be, can I kick a ball about in the garden with my child? And it's just those small little things that can really make a difference. If mental health has been an issue for a while and people are saying to you, oh, get some exercise, get outside, that'll make you feel better. Not always what you want to hear. But maybe for you, sitting outside having a cup of tea in the garden, or going for a walk around the shops, or somebody I know, a theory with ADHD and the low dopamine levels, sorry, I'm really stretching knowledge here, is that actually being like going out to the shop to buy something, to have like a thing or a purpose to get you going, no matter how small or tiny that purpose is or how insignificant. It's just about doing the one thing. And I don't always like that phrase, just do the next one thing, especially if you're feeling really overwhelmed. But yeah, it doesn't need to be big, it doesn't need to be a lot. It just needs to feel like you're taking a step in the direction that you want to go. Also, when joints are grumpy and energy is patchy, you work with what's there. I say this in my online class all the time. Work with what you've got today, or work as hard as you feel you can today. Because do you know what? Some days we've been derailed by somebody else's problems, somebody else's emotions, and we're a relative and we want to be there for them, and we've done that. But it just means we haven't got much left for ourselves. So we turn up to the class anyway, but we don't beat ourselves up for not doing as well as we did last week. We praise ourselves for being there anyway. And then some weeks, you've had a blinder of a week. You've been able to eat all the things that you've needed to, wanted to, you've fed yourself great, you've slept well, you haven't got too many stresses, everything's kind of has, and you turn up to that class and you deliver, you push yourself as hard as you've got that day, because that's all movement is ever supposed to be. Whatever you've got, use it. It might not look as much as what somebody else has. Keep this phrase in mind: comparison is the thief of joy. The only person you need to think about when you're exercising, you're keeping yourself moving, is yourself. If I think back to June last year, I'd been weightlifting for 5 years. My cardio fitness was through the floor. The previous 20 years, I was a rower and my cardio fitness was good. It was good. For me, it was really good. It wasn't good by comparison to rowers in the GB team, but for me, it was really good. I did weightlifting for 5 years. The cardio dropped. So when I went back in June, it was to CrossFit, which is a mixture of both. It was a very humbling experience. The cardio stuff felt hard to me. I was out of breath a lot quicker than I would have been before. And actually now we're in the beginning of March and it's been 9 months since I started back there. And I think my cardio fitness has improved a bit. It's not anywhere near where it was. That's okay. But it is better than it was in June. And I'm happy about that. I feel good on that. And it's really important to stay in your own lane with your own expectations. Because if I compare myself to a past version of myself, or I compare myself to the other girls at CrossFit who are amazing, who I think are brilliant, this is going to take the joy away from me. And actually, it's really important that we keep ourselves motivated. And by noticing our own wins, that's what really makes the difference. That's what really helps. So I guess the practical tip here is Ask yourself, what's the smallest thing I could do today that would count as movement? Then do that. Nothing more required. You don't need to come up with a big old plan. You don't need to have thought about it, found the right coach, found the right trainers. Just whatever you've got available, whatever it looks like. I know loads of people had loads of fun making the little videos of the Winter Olympics in whatever they could find in their homes. Do that. Have a laugh. Find a YouTube video of a chair Zumba class and just follow it along for the music. Like, honestly, anything, if that's what you want. So let me begin to wrap up, and let me say that you just, and reassure that you don't need to start over. Hopefully this is coming across. You just need to start again, and you can do that any day in any state with whatever you've got. One thing to try this week: next time you notice that I should really get back to it feeling, skip the planning stage entirely. Just do something small today, or whatever day that is. See how that lands. Next week, I'll be back with another one of these episodes and a special guest. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, subscribe or follow wherever you are watching or listening today. That's it.